Welcome to the first of two pre-recorded on-demand presentations designed for the youth audience in order to demystify COP. In this session, student delegates from Vermont Law School's Observer Delegation will cover core aspects of COP and provide an overview of COP26. COP is an acronym for Conference of the Parties. COP acts as the yearly decision-making body of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which is often referred to as the UNFCCC. The theory of global warming has been studied by scientists since the late 1800s. Measurements taken in the 1960s in places like Mauna Loa showed atmospheric CO2 was increasing. These scientific developments motivated an international effort to address climate change that grew support in the 1980s. In December 1990, the UN General Assembly established a negotiating committee to develop a convention on climate change. The result was the UNFCCC, which was adopted on May 9, 1992, and entered into force on March 21, 1994, decades after scientists started tracking the impact of humans on the climate. Over 197 countries have ratified the convention. The UNFCCC's main goals are to stabilize emissions and to prevent dangerous human interference with the climate system. Since 1995, COP has met annually to review parties' national communications and emissions inventories. COP26 aims to target four key goals. The UK, as the current host country, sets the agenda for addressing these goals. First, COP26 plans to mitigate adverse climate change effects by balancing carbon emissions and carbon removal to reach global net zero by mid-century and to keep warming below 2 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial levels. To achieve this mitigation goal, the UK proposed to focus on several initiatives such as curtailing deforestation and speeding up the switch to electric vehicles. Second, COP26 will discuss adaptation, which means finding ways to live with climate change effects. For this goal, the UK wants to focus on storm warning systems and on restoring ecosystems, including the coastal ecosystem our student delegation focuses on: seagrass, salt marsh, and mangroves. Third, COP26 will address how to mobilize the $100 billion per year finance goal. The UK wants to achieve this goal through increased support from international financial institutions and access to public and private sector financing. And finally, COP26 will address collaboration by encouraging parties to work together to meet these goals. The UK suggests achieving this goal through collaboration between governments, businesses, and civil society. While the UK is hosting this year in Glasgow, Scotland, the host country rotates to include different continents and regions, reflecting the truly global nature of this conference and of the task at hand. In the past, COP has met throughout the world in host countries such as South Africa, Spain, Mexico, Peru, India, and Japan. In 2015, Paris, France hosted COP21, where 196 parties adopted the Paris Agreement. The agreement entered into force on November 4, 2016. By signing, parties agree to work toward the convention goal of aiming to keep global warming below 2 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial levels. One of the primary outcomes of the Paris Agreement is the way in which nations pledge their progress toward achieving emissions and temperature targets. Parties commit to independently create nationally determined contributions, which are often referred to as NDCs. These NDCs allow parties to track progress at their individual pace. Parties submit their increasingly ambitious NDCs every 5 years. The Global Stocktake, or GST, is a process for taking stock of how parties are implementing the agreement. The stocktake aims to assess collective progress towards achieving the agreement's purpose and its long-term goals. The first stocktake will take place from 2021 to 2023, during which time NDCs will be reviewed. Thereafter, the process will be repeated every 5 years. It can be helpful to know who attends COP in order to better understand where and how decisions are being made. Parties to the convention, observer states, observer delegations, and the press attend COP. Parties to the convention and observer states make up different bodies and financial entities within COP. The supreme bodies include the Conference of the Parties, the Conference of the Parties to the Paris Agreement, and the Conference of the Parties to the Kyoto Protocol. Subsidiary bodies provide information to assist the governing bodies. A couple of subsidiary bodies are the Subsidiary Body for Scientific and Tech Advice and the Subsidiary Body for Implementation. Constituted bodies provide advice, technical input, and expertise to advance the implementation of the UNFCCC and include the Adaptation Committee and the Paris Committee on Capacity Building. Funds and financial entities include, among others, the Green Climate Fund and the Adaptation Fund. Those who are not parties to the convention or who are not observer states can also attend as observer delegations. Specialized agencies of the UN are observer delegations, such as the Food and Agricultural Organization. Non-governmental organizations, referred to as NGOs, also serve as observer delegations. Some types of non-governmental organizations are research and independent NGOs, environmental NGOs, and youth NGOs, referred to as YOUNGO. For instance, this presentation is provided by Vermont Law School student delegation, acting as a research and independent NGO. The press and media also attend COP to cover events. COP is a 2-week-long function that features open collaborative work in the green zone and negotiations in the blue zone. The green zone is the outer perimeter open to the general public. This is where art exhibits, workshops, presentations, technology demonstrations, and other side events take place. Pavilions, like the Virtual Ocean Pavilion, are in the green zone. The blue zone is open to delegates and UNFCCC recognized observers. This is where negotiations, briefings, side panels, and some exhibits take place. Within the blue zone, heads of state or government and UN officials make public statements on their national positions in the high-level segment. Subsidiary bodies, such as the Subsidiary Body for Scientific and Tech Advice and the Subsidiary Body for Implementation, meet in this zone to develop reports. Parties to the convention often work in negotiation blocks. These blocks form based on shared location, such as the Arab States Group, shared ecosystems, such as the Coalition for Rainforest Nations, shared economic status, such as least developed countries, shared geographic landscapes, such as small island developing states, and more. G77 plus China is a powerful negotiating bloc representing developing nations. The Alliance of Small Island States has also been an influential voice in constructing COP goals in action. So, how can youth participate? YOUNGO is the official children and youth constituency of the UNFCCC. It stands for Youth Plus Non-Governmental Organization, and it encompasses youth up to age 35. YOUNGO runs various formats of Conference of Youth, known as COI, to empower youth and formally bring their voices to the UNFCCC processes to shape intergovernmental climate change policies. COI meets at the same location as COP immediately before COP begins. There are also virtual, regional, and local COIs providing a more accessible way to incorporate diverse youth voices. YOUNGO's vision is to empower youth to take action that will enhance their skills and capacity to drive climate actions and policies at all levels. The main focus areas of YOUNGO are 1. Awareness, knowledge, and capacity building. 2. Collaboration, cooperation, and networking. 3. Policy, lobbying, and advocacy. And 4. Youth action. For more information, visit YOUNGO's website. Dive right into our second pre-recorded session next to learn more about the Ocean Climate Nexus and the role of the ocean in climate negotiations, including the Global Blue New Deal, as drafted by the Sustainable Ocean Alliance's Youth Policy Advisory Council. Here are the sources used for this presentation. Feel free to explore them for more in-depth information on COP.